In the early 1980s, rally racing entered one of the most transformative periods in motorsport history. The new B Group regulations gave manufacturers extraordinary engineering freedom, and the World Rally Championship quickly became a proving ground for rapidly advancing technology. Lightweight materials, turbocharging, aerodynamic experimentation, and all-wheel drive began changing the sport at an incredible pace. At the center of that transformation was a fascinating rivalry in engineering philosophy. On one side were manufacturers embracing new technologies like all-wheel drive, led most famously by Audi and the Quattro. On the other were traditionalists like Lancia, whose Rally 037 represented something very different, the ultimate refinement of the rear-wheel drive rally car. The 037 wasn't created because Lancia rejected innovation or doubted the future of all-wheel drive. In fact, the company fully understood where rally technology was headed. But while the engineers worked to prepare the all-wheel drive successor to the 037, the team had no choice but to continue refining the strengths of an already proven formula. The 037 would go on to accomplish something historic, becoming the last rear-wheel drive car ever to win the World Rally Championships for manufacturers. Today, it remains one of the defining cars of the Group B era and one of the most respected rally cars ever built. Powered by a supercharged 2-liter inline-4 engine and driven by rally legends Walter Röhrl and Christian Geisterfer, the 037 arrived during a moment when rally racing was evolving incredibly quickly. Following the 1982 season, manufacturers understood that all-wheel drive was the future. Audi had already demonstrated the effectiveness of all-wheel drive with the Quattro, especially on loose rally surfaces where traction could dramatically impact performance. Lancia recognized that shift just as clearly as everyone else, but when the Quattro was introduced late in 1981, the Italian manufacturer was nearly finished with their new rear-wheel drive challenger for 1982. Knowing it would take years before their own version of the Quattro's novel technology would be available, the team had no choice but to continue refining the rear-wheel drive platform they already understood so well. The result was the Rally 037, a car that prioritized lightweight engineering, agility, and driver precision at the highest possible level. And for one remarkable season, that formula proved capable of defeating the emerging all-wheel drive revolution. To understand why the 037 became so significant, it's important to understand the environment in which it competed. The FIA introduced Group B regulations in 1982. Compared to previous categories, the rules allowed far greater engineering freedom and required relatively few road-going production cars for homologation. Manufacturers quickly took advantage of that flexibility. Throughout the Group B era, rally cars became progressively more powerful, lighter, and more specialized. Turbocharging became increasingly common, suspension systems advanced rapidly, and manufacturers began experimenting with newer approaches to drivetrain technology and aerodynamics. Competition intensified almost immediately. At the same time, safety standards struggled to keep pace with the rapidly increasing performance of the cars. Rally stages remained narrow and unpredictable. Spectators often stood dangerously close to the racing line, and drivers were expected to manage incredibly demanding machines in constantly changing conditions. As a result, Group B became both one of the most exciting and most dangerous periods in motorsport history. Today, the era remains legendary, not only for the cars themselves, but also because it represented one of the few unique moments in motorsport's history when experimentation was truly unconstrained. Unable to match the advantages inherent to all-wheel drive, Lancia concentrated on maximizing the strengths of rear-wheel drive performance through careful chassis development, weight reduction, and responsiveness. The Rally 037 was developed jointly by Lancia, Abarth, and Pininfarina. Although it was loosely connected to the Lancia Monte Carlo road car for homologation purposes, the 037 was essentially a purpose-built competition machine. The car used a lightweight tubular chassis combined with fiberglass and Kevlar body panels to minimize overall weight. Its mid-engine layout improved balance and handling characteristics, particularly on technical rally stages where agility and driver confidence were critical. One of the most important engineering decisions involved the engine itself. Instead of using a turbocharger, Lancia equipped the 037 with a supercharged 2-liter inline-4 engine, producing approximately 276 horsepower in factory competition form. That choice reflected the team's emphasis on drivability and responsiveness. Meanwhile, Audi's Quattro represented the next technological step forward through all-wheel drive. That contrast became one of the defining themes of the 1983 rally season. Headed into 1983, Audi and its Quattro were the reigning manufacturers champions, with many expecting them to continue their domination until another team could build an all-wheel drive competitor of its own. Enter Lancia. Having introduced the 037 in 1982 only to suffer constant reliability issues, the team entered 1983 with a renewed spirit. They felt confident in the car, having used the information learned in '82 to work out the kinks in the off-season. The season began dramatically in this very car with a statement victory at the 1983 Monte Carlo Rally, one of the most prestigious and technically demanding events in the WRC calendar. Monte Carlo's constantly changing conditions included dry pavement, snow, and ice, rewarded precision and car control, areas where the lightweight 037 excelled. This victory set the stage for a season-long title fight and immediately refuted fans who had written off rear-wheel drive as uncompetitive after 1982. Throughout the season, Lancia strategically targeted events where the 037's strengths could be fully utilized, particularly on rallies with dry tarmac sections where its balance and responsiveness offered advantages over heavier Quattros. By the end of the season, Lancia secured the 1983 World Rally Championship for manufacturers. It would become the final WRC title rear-wheel drive car. Most importantly, it represented the culmination of decades of rear-wheel drive rally development, just as the sport was preparing to fully transition into the all-wheel drive era. More than 40 years later, the 037 remains one of the defining symbols of Group B and one of the most respected rally cars ever built. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check this one out in person, it's currently on display on the second floor in our Legends of the Dirt gallery, powered by Optima, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.